Netcasts you love.
From people you trust.
This is Twit.
Hey, this is Leo Laporte, and this is my Tech Guy podcast. This show originally aired on the Premier Network Saturday, September 1st, 2019. This is episode 1623. Enjoy. The Tech Guy podcast is brought to you by Capterra. Find the right tools to make an informed software decision for your business. Visit Capterra's free website at capterra.com/techguy. And by Plex. With Plex, you can organize and stream your personal collection of movies, TV shows, music, and photos anywhere, on any device. Plex is offering Twit listeners a 30-day free trial of Plex Pass, which gives you access to all their premium features. So try it today. Go to plex.tv/twit and use the offer code TWIT to start your free trial. Oh, hi. Well, hello. Good to see you. Or as they say, hey, hey, hey. It's time for the Tech Guy Show, the show where we talk about technology, computers, the internet, home theater, digital photography, smartphones, smart watches, all that jazz, everything with a chip in it. You know, it's tech time with Leo. That's me, Leo Laporte, your tech guy, your host for the next few hours of technological fun and amazement. If you have a question, something going on in your world that you don't understand or you'd like help with, or maybe you'd just like to vent, the phone number is 8888 Ask Leo, 888-827-5536. I am here. My whole purpose here to make you feel better. That's my job. Make you feel better about all that tech in your life. 8888 Ask Leo. We also have a website. The website is techguylabs.com. Tech Guy Labs. I'm the tech guy. I'm in my lab. Imagine me with a lab coat, the Bunsen burners, the beakers, safety glasses, safety first, even in your imagination. And that's my lab. So Tech Guy Labs. I don't know why it's plural, but it is. Tech Guy Lab, because it's the labs. We're in the labs. techguylabs.com. And that's, you might say, oh, Leo, yeah, I know why you're plugging that. You make money on it. No, I don't, actually. We lose money on it. We charge nothing. But it's a good thing. It's a good thing because that way when I'm talking about something, you don't have to take your hands off the wheel to write it down. You can just say, oh, I know where I'll find that later. At my leisure, techguylabs.com. And you can even leave comments there. So if you find yourself shouting at the radio saying, hey, Leo, that's wrong. You need not do that. You can make your feelings heard at the website, techguylabs.com. We appreciate that. It's for all of us. All of us benefit when you leave your notes there. First day of September. Of course, you know what that means. No, not meteorological fall. Not the kids back in school. It means there's an Apple event coming up. That's what it means. Come on, you know that. It means September 10th, a week from Tuesday. Apple is going to have an event. They've already sent out the invites. No, I did not get one. That's okay. I'm not hurt. I'm a grown-up. I don't need to be invited to your birthday party. It's okay, Apple. I'll watch from afar. This way I don't have to bring you a gift. They will probably announce 3 new iPhones. That's what everybody thinks. In fact, we know an awful lot about these 3 new iPhones from all the leaks. And I think of late, the leaks have been pretty good. In the last few years, we pretty much know what Google and Apple and Samsung are going to announce. In fact, Google got so fed up with the whole thing that a couple of months ago, they said, yes, you're right. Those leaked pictures of our next phone, the Pixel 4, those are accurate. Here, let's give you some real ones. They figured, well, might as well, if you can't fight them, join them. So we kind of even know a lot about the next Pixel phone, which will be out next month. That's, anyway. So I guess the only thing really, the only takeaway from this is don't buy an iPhone today. Wait for 2 reasons. The iPhone you buy today will cost less in a week because the new ones are coming out. And you might want the new one. Should be better cameras. Yeah. There's this rumor that we kind of don't know what to make of it. There's this rumor that there will be an iPhone Pro. We think it could be. We don't know what Apple's naming schemes. That's one thing that doesn't leak out very well. Maybe iPhone 11 Pro, maybe. I don't know. XI, that would be dumb. You never know with Apple. The reason they like the idea of a Pro, though, is maybe it'll have a stylus, kind of like the Galaxy Note has for years. Apple's got that pencil on the iPad. Maybe there's something like that. And who knows what else? Bigger screen, maybe? Maybe they'll make a little phablet like the Note. The Note does pretty well. Maybe. Anyway, we'll find out. A week from Tuesday, we'll know. Jack Dorsey, you know his name? He's the CEO of Twitter. And for 15 minutes on Friday afternoon, he was posting nonsense. But it wasn't really him. It was the Chuckling Squad who had hacked his account. The Chuckling Squad. I don't care about the Chuckling Squad. I don't care about Jack Dorsey, but there is a lesson for us all. If you do have Twitter, and this would apply to Facebook too, we're not sure how Jack Dorsey, the CEO of Twitter, you'd think he'd have the best security, right? But he's not even the first time he's been hacked. He's been hacked before, and still they get in. They're like cockroaches. You can't keep them out. But the question is, if it could happen to Jack Dorsey on Twitter, could it happen to you? And it's not, it's embarrassing, but it's not the end of the world. The thing is, Jack Dorsey, he just makes a call downstairs and says, fix it, and they fix it. If it happens to you, it might not be so easy to get your account back. Who cares, right? It's Twitter. Who cares? No one cares. Unless you're the leader of the free world and Chuckling Squad gets your account and says the nukes will be launched in 5, 4, 3. That would be bad. I would hope the world would have the sense to go, well, that doesn't sound right. Is that the Chuckling Squad again? So, what should you do? Well, we don't know how he was hacked, but we think we know. It seems to have been posted by a service that Twitter bought in 2010 called Cloudhopper, and this is why it's important. Cloudhopper allowed you to tweet from your phone via SMS or text message, and without logging into Twitter. Oh, that's a red flag, right? You don't have to log into Twitter to post from your phone. All somebody would need then is to get Jack Dorsey's phone, and they could tweet as him. We think that's what that happened. But how would they get his phone? I mean, doesn't he keep it close to his vest? Maybe even literally in his vest. I don't think he looks like a vest guy, but maybe. Well, this is why I bring this up, because this is something that could happen to any of us, and it's something called SIM swapping. And it's a big problem. And it's why text messages should never be trusted for authentication. And your bank does it, almost certainly. The banks love this stuff. You give them your password, and they say, okay, fine, but we're going to send you a text message to verify it's you. My bank does this. They offer more secure methods, but this is the easiest, right? Even if you're using a more secure method and the fallback is a text message, that means you're at risk because of SIM swapping. So what a bad guy does is they persuade your phone carrier to transfer your phone number to their SIM card, or maybe mail you a new SIM card to a different address. This is problematic. They're basically going to be able to impersonate you. And once they've done that, they've stolen the phone without stealing the phone. They just stole the phone line. And then if that's how something like Cloudhopper works, which is how it works, then they've stolen your account. And this would be true for anything you're using. Who cares about Twitter? But if you're using Facebook or your bank and they do that, that could be bad. So what's the solution? Well, I guess if you're using Twitter, Facebook, or other things, you should go through right now and look at all the apps you've authorized and take out any that you don't use anymore or you don't know what they are. You can stop that. There's settings in both Facebook and Twitter to do that. If it's your bank, you probably can't tell your bank, well, don't allow this, but if you can, do. If you can't, then here's what you need to do, and this is the good news, is you need to call your cell phone company and say, hey, I want to put a PIN on my account so that somebody can't call in and impersonate me unless they know that PIN. T-Mobile actually sent me a text last year saying, you better do this because we just think you better do this. They didn't say why, but I got the message. Yeah, I think I better do that. So you set up a PIN. Now, see, what the hackers will do is they'll call and pretend it's you. They'll be in crisis. They need it desperately. And customer service reps, customer service is the first two words in their title. They want to serve. So when the customer, even if somebody's not the customer, calls, they try to help. Often they end up helping the wrong way by giving the bad guy your phone number. But they can't do it if there's a PIN on it. So that's what you really want. You know, Google Fi works similarly. Google's own. You would think Google would figure this out, and they have. But the PIN is not a fixed number. It's different all the time. You have to log in on the web to your Google Fi account, get a new number, then give it to the rep on the phone. That's good. That's really secure. So this could be your homework. You're probably not going to do it today. It's Sunday. Tomorrow's Labor Day. Do it Tuesday. Call your phone company. Say, I'd like to put a PIN on my account to prevent hacking, SIM swapping. It doesn't have to be complicated, but it's a road bump, and it's a pretty big one for a bad guy who might want to take your phone over. And that way, and I hope somebody tells the president about this, that way your tweets are protected and other things. I'm thinking the president of the United States probably has somebody watching this and making sure nobody impersonates him. I'm hoping. I'm thinking. Who knows? These days, who knows? 8888 Ask Leo. That's the phone number. You can do it. That's the point. You should do that. 8888 Ask Leo. That's my phone number. I would love to hear from you. Let's talk high tech right after this. Yeah, so the way you get around that on Twitter, and by the way, Art Chandra's mentioning something that I also do, and I didn't want to get too complicated. But the trick on that is to turn on the authenticator, but turn off SMS. The problem is you have to set up SMS first. So you set up SMS, then you turn on the authenticator, then you can go back in and turn off SMS. You can't apparently just turn on Authenticator. But Authenticator is much better. Using an Authenticator program like Google or Microsoft or my favorite Authy, that generates that 6-digit code. It doesn't get sent via your text message. So even if somebody did co-opt your phone number, they'd have to have your physical phone with the Authenticator on it. So that's a good way to do it. Yes, and her name is Nicole DJ, answering the phones today for Kim Schaffer, who's in Bali. Have you heard from Kim? Has she sent a note or anything?
No, I think she's just having a great time. I would if I was there.
Yeah, I wouldn't send a note back at all.
Yeah.
Just say, see you someday. Maybe I'll be back.
Yeah, maybe.
Maybe. So you did it all day yesterday. Was it fun? Did you have a good time talking to our people? They're nice people.
Yeah, and I'm actually learning a lot, so.
Good.
Yeah.
Thank you, Nicole. Who do I start with here?
Ken from Bakersfield has a question about replacing a Wi-Fi router.
I see him. I shall answer his call.
Okay.
Thank you, Nicole. Hello, Ken.
Leo, thank you for taking my call.
Thanks for calling.
I have an older Asus router that I love. It has, I use the Open VPN. I lock everything down on my network, and then that's the only thing open to the outside is just that Open VPN
server.
So, however, the Wi-Fi seems to be dying on my router. And I was just thinking of just turning off the Wi-Fi and using like one of the Ubiquiti, the Pro AC access point.
Yeah,
connect to it. Do you think that would be a good solution for that?
Yeah. So you turn off the radio on the old Asus. Its time has come. Say goodbye. But you still use all the Asus for routing and DHCP, and then you just buy a radio like that Ubiquiti, which isn't as, it probably has routing as well. I don't know that model, but if it does, you just put it in bridge mode so that it's not doing any routing. You only want your old Asus to do the routing. That way, all that stuff will work. The VPN should just work. That sounds like a good plan. As long as Asus continues to update that router. How old is it?
It's probably like 5 years old. It does still
Yeah.
get updates, though. Yeah, they do still update it.
That's
and,
the key on a router. Is as long as it's getting the security patches, the firmware updates. I do like those Asus routers. They do their own Asus WRT based on DDWRT. That's the firmware they use. That's very, very good and very capable. And since you're comfortable with it, sure, just get a radio.
That's the reason why I really wanted to stick with something like that. And, was the security, being able to use the VPN and VPN in and keep everything else locked down. So.
Yeah, and Twisted Mister is saying, that UAP does not have a router built in. It's just an access point, so it's perfect.
Excellent. Okay, thank you so much, Leo.
You didn't need me for that. You're very clever. That's a clever way of keeping the old router. And I like Ubiquity's gear. I do. I think that's a good choice for a Wi-Fi router. Should improve the situation. Larry, San Francisco, Leo Laporte, the tech guy. Hi, Larry.
Hello, Leo. I'm glad to talk to you.
Nice to talk to you.
Long time fan. I think last time I talked to you, I told you that I have an original Twit hoodie. But
Nice.
I discovered I also have an original Twit T-shirt.
Wow.
With all the old shows on the back of it.
I wish I could say those will be collector's items someday, but...
Why do you think not?
Oh, maybe they will. Who knows?
Sure
Who knows?
they will.
You can offer them to the Smithsonian, see what they give you for it.
Anyway,
I appreciate your faithful attendance. That's nice. Thank you.
Well, I've learned a lot listening to you.
Nice, Larry. Thank you.
Well, I have a question. I have recently become a notary signing agent, which means you sort of work as an independent contractor to help with loan closings.
Yes.
And I do it all over. Well, I get all the documents and work for companies online. So everything is like emailed to me, and I print it out and go and meet the signer.
We use mobile notaries all the time because we don't want to have to go to them, so they come to us. It's great.
Yeah, just become, although...
Is that a nice little sideline? Nice little business?
Yeah, the only problem for me is that I'm not that mobile. I live in San Francisco, don't have a car, never had a car, so it's hard to get to even places that are on BART because there's BART there doesn't mean it's easy to get to.
You need to be a bicycle notary.
Yeah, exactly.
San Francisco's full of bicycle messengers. Why not a bicycle notary?
Exactly.
Yeah.
Anyway, the problem is the way this works is companies, after you get certified, companies see you online.
Right.
They contract with you to do different jobs.
Nice.
Some of the companies I've signed up with all have where you have to upload your W-9, your tax information, directly to their servers.
Right.
But this one company insists that I email the form to them. And I'm like, I'm not doing that.
No, it's got your social on it. Yeah.
Exactly. And I kept telling them that, and they swear, our system is safe.
No, but it doesn't matter what their system is. Your email will go through a number of other systems.
That's what I thought. And I kept trying to tell them that, and they wouldn't listen.
This happens all the time, unfortunately. People don't treat socials as carefully as they should, and you obviously know enough to worry about that.
Exactly. So I'm trying to think. I probably am not going to work with these people again, and probably am not going to get paid from them because I'm not doing that. But I'm wondering if there is a way. When I worked for a credit union,
here's probably the easiest thing to do: zip it.
Right.
Zip it good, and you can zip it with a password, right? So zip it with a password via a phone call or some other more secure method. Give them the password. Say, look, you can even say it's so big I don't want to send it via email, but I'll squeeze it down. I'm going to zip it, and here's the password. You don't even have to mention the security thing, although maybe they'll learn a lesson. And the password in the current versions of Zip are pretty good. They used to be pretty weak, but I think they've gotten much better. So I think, and that would be enough to. You wouldn't even know it's a password if you don't name it Larry's W-9. Name it something from Larry, and maybe this is an opportunity, a teaching moment, if you will, to explain to them why sending. It doesn't matter whether your server is secure; it's all those servers along the way. Leo Laporte, the tech guy. Yeah, that's a great. I think Zip's pretty good. There are more complicated ways to do it, but the chances are they have Zip on their computer, so it won't slow them down. Right.
Well, I've run across companies when I worked for a credit union where we had to send them a link to a company that made them set up an account.
There you go.
Then they get the message.
Yeah, that's another way to do it is with an encrypted. Yeah, we used to advertise ShareFile, and that's exactly how it did it. It was a secure way. So you could also say my email provider will not let me send attachments because those are bad.
Very,
Right?
I know.
They're bad. So maybe say, look, I can't send an attachment, but let me send you a secure link. That'd be another way to do it.
How about Dropbox? Because I have Dropbox, but
Yeah, that's good too. Dropbox.
But if I make a download link, then anyone can just click on that link and download it, right?
Yeah, exactly. That's what ShareFile did differently. They ensured that the person opening it was the person you wanted to open it.
Okay.
But even Dropbox would be better, frankly, than just sending it in clear text in the email. Any one of these solutions is going to be just a little bit better.
I couldn't believe they insisted on that. I'm like,
If you
people
really,
do that?
if you want to do it for sure securely, I should have mentioned this because I really love this service. Firefox has a free service called Firefox Send.
Oh,
You go to
I use Firefox.
send.firefox.com. You drag a file onto it, and it will generate a link that automatically expires, which is really nice. So you drag your W-9 onto that, and you send it for free, and then they have to use the password to unlock it. So I would check out send.firefox.com. That's probably even better than the zip thing.
That's
It's going to add a speed bump for them because they're going to have to, they don't have to make an account. That's the beauty part of it. But they are going to have to they're going to get this protected with a password thing, and they're going to have to enter the password. You could when you put the file on there, you have some choices, much like ShareFile. You could say it expires after one download or 1 day or 5 minutes, whatever you want. So you could say only one person can download this, and then you could put a password in it, and then you upload it. You'll send them a link, and you'll say, call me for the password. When they click the link, they don't have to do anything. It'll just open up, and they'll say, what's the password? So that way, this is the most secure way to do it. So I think that's the way I would recommend it. And then it's free, and then you can say to them, this is really how you should be doing it from now on. This is the modern, secure way of doing it.
Thank you. That's perfect. I will use that.
Yeah, I think it's a good idea, Larry. I should have mentioned that on the air. I will now when I come back.
Okay. Thank you,
Hey,
Leo.
thanks. Take care, Larry. Nice to have you on the podcasts.
You too.
All right.
Thanks for talking.
See ya. My pleasure. Sam Abuelsamid.
Hello, Leo. How are you today?
So you think you can get Elon, huh?
I'm going to give it my best shot. I think there's a pretty decent chance of
We
it.
would be glad to offer our facilities. You would be a wonderful moderator. Here is Kim and Bally, by the way.
Oh, nice.
Yeah. There's the Bally chickens, the famous Bally chickens.
Sounds like Kauai.
Yeah. It's beautiful. Oh, wow. In there. Wow. Okay, Kim. Show off. All right. Wow. Lowrider Sam Abuelsamid is here. He is our car guy, principal researcher at Navigant Research, podcaster, wheelbearings.media, and now one laptop short of a full deck. I'm so sorry that your laptop got stolen in our beautiful city of San Francisco. That's car breaking.
Yeah, apparently it's pretty common. I guess.
Yeah, it happened to
commented-
a visitor who was here earlier this week. So that happened to
Yeah,
her.
apparently,
in San
I guess
Francisco.
there's about 100,000 vehicle break-ins a year in San Francisco now, which is pretty crazy.
Put it in the trunk or hide it, or I don't know what's the.
Well,
answer?
it was in the cargo area in the back of the Navigator I was driving, but that one doesn't have a cargo cover. The windows are tinted pretty dark, but they're not completely opaque. And so
They
must have
who
seen,
knows these guys?
Yeah.
They probably break every window they see and just go boom, boom, boom. That's terrible.
Yeah, that's
I'm
right.
So sorry.
At any rate, that's not the topic of the day. The topic of the day is training data for AI systems and machine learning. And the reason I want to talk about this one today is I know on several of the shows over the past week, there's including Mac Break Weekly that I was listening to this morning, there's a lot of discussion about some of the recent stuff that's been going on, including with Apple, revelations that they've had humans listening to recordings from the digital voice assistants like Siri and Madame A and the other one from Google, and just wanted to talk a little bit about this because it's particularly relevant in the area of automotive right now, because everybody's working on automated driving, but also even for nearer term for more advanced driver assist systems. We're using a lot of machine learning techniques, and everybody, particularly around Apple, everybody's been getting all upset because people were listening to recordings and transcribing them, to try to make Siri better. Well, that's actually an essential part of any kind of machine learning or AI system. And if you think about it, think about when we were kids, when we were young, and we didn't know how to read, we didn't know colors and letters and things like that. How do we learn? We have a parent or a teacher or somebody that was watching us that would point to something, point to a picture of a dog in a book, or letter A, and they would point to it and say out loud what it was, and that's how we learned words and colors and objects and learned about the world around us. Well, machine learning systems work in pretty much exactly the same way. You have to feed them a whole bunch of data that has been labeled and annotated. And whether that's images for an automated driving system or words for some sort of digital voice assistant.
So those people listening to our voice assistant are just teachers. They're just like kindergarten teachers helping Siri understand.
Pretty much, yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, that's that's the only way that you can teach a system like that what these words are and what they mean. Somebody has to actually go through and listen to samples of recordings, particularly ones where it has misclassified what it has seen. And that's what all these Alexa and Google and Siri were doing, is they were primarily looking for stuff for clips that were misclassified, and they're probably using various signals, like, for example, if the person said something and the system responded incorrectly and they tried to say it again, things like that would get flagged and get sent off to somebody to listen to it, to try to transcribe it. And then once you have that transcription, then you can feed that back into the system so it can try to learn, with that audio clip and the label of what's in there. And that's what companies developing automated driving systems are doing. They take terabytes of data and pour through them and find the interesting stuff, or things where the system has misclassified it. Because for an automated driving system, you've got all this sensor data, cameras and radar and lidar, that are going through trying to understand what's in the world around the vehicle. But before you can do that, somebody has to sit down and go through those clips, and they'll draw bounding boxes around the cars and around pedestrians and cyclists and label what each of these things are. And then you feed it into the system to train the system, and then from there, the system hopefully gets better as you go along. The more data you give it, and particularly the more diverse data you give it. And so that's actually another interesting thing that's been happening in recent months, is a number of companies that are in this space have actually released large sets of data that they have collected over the last few years, and put them and made them open source for researchers to go through and use that to help make better algorithms to do this sort of detection.
I remember when the one of the Google self-driving vehicles, the Waymo, had a little fender bender with a bus. The problem was that there was road work in the lane that the Waymo was in, and so it wanted to go to the next lane to the left to go around it. The Waymo paused, saw there was some distance between it and the next vehicle in the lane to its left, which turned out to be a bus, and decided, I'm going to go. I got enough time. What it didn't, because it made the assumption that the bus will slow down as a normal vehicle would to let me in. And, of course, the bus doesn't slow down, and they run into each other. The Google engineer said, this is great, which I thought was a little weird. We've got some really valuable data here. And the data was, don't assume a bus or a truck or any large vehicle is going to let you in. But every human knows that, don't we?
Or you have to make different assumptions about how fast it's going to be able to slow down, because the bigger vehicles, needs a longer stopping distance.
So humans know
So,
that. We also know things like to look at the
we
drive.
learn that over time.
Yes, we don't know it right out of the
inherently.
box. Yeah, unless Dad told you when you were learning to drive, or Mom said, "Now watch for this bus." I also look at the driver when you come to a stop, and you look at the other driver to kind of see, are they looking at me? Do they know I'm here? That kind of thing. And I don't know if self-driving vehicles will be smart enough to do that. Fortunately, when everybody's self-driving, then the cars can actually say, "Hey, are you going first?" "No, I'm not going. You want to go?" "Yeah, I'm going."
Well, that is part of what the engineers are trying to teach these systems. You know, it's not just classifying, what all the different actors are in the scene, but also looking for some of those cues. And one of the key challenges right now for these systems is the prediction. Once you classify all the objects in the scene, then you have to predict what they're going to do next before you can plan your path around them. And the toughest part of that prediction is actually the humans, the pedestrians, whether they're
humans
on
are
foot or
murder.
on bike.
Yeah.
Well, because you can change direction much more quickly than a car.
Yes.
And so they're trying to understand and trying to learn how to read body language, and the way. In order to do that, you've got to have a lot of data that's been very accurately labeled, and that's a key. Is the data has to be accurately labeled. So humans actually have to go through and do this manually. It's a very manual intensive process. Right. It takes a lot of time.
This is Apple's conundrum, because of course they want to protect privacy, but at the same time, Siri's never going to get smarter unless they do some of this training. Apple did the right thing in response to these articles from The Guardian and others. They said, "All right, we're going to make it an opt-in system. We won't do it unless we ask you and you give approval." That may slow it down, but it'll make people feel a lot better about having Siri in the house or on their phone. And Google and Google also and Amazon also have changed the way they do this stuff, because they want you to feel comfortable with their technology. Hey, thank you so much, Sam Abuelsamid, wheelbearings.media, for his great podcast. And we will have more in just a bit. Stay right here. Leo Laporte, the car wash guy. 8888. Ask Leo. The phone number. Clinton, North Carolina. Hello, Clinton.
Hey, Leo.
Welcome.
Thank you. I was calling. I had a question about GPS tracking software. I do work in North Carolina. A lot of times I do by myself. It's landscaping, so it can be kind of dangerous if you're out there on your own.
Yikes.
Is there aside from Find My iPhone, Find My Friends, something that's somewhat affordable to where you can report your location more automated?
Sure.
Someone check that. Yeah.
Sure. There are SOS devices. They're used by hikers primarily. But they, because, if you're lost in the woods, it's really, and you may not have cell phone reception, it's really nice to have something. But there are a great many of these devices. There's two ways to go. If you use a personal location beacon, or a PLB, there'll be a subscription fee for that. So that may not be... Well, I think it is probably what you want, because the other is a little, you're going to send, is for sending messages. But this one is the PLBs sync to the satellite. So even if you're in an area completely remote, no cell reception, it will still work. These devices are small. They look like little walkie-talkies kind of. They have multi-year battery life. Actually, PLBs do not have a subscription fee because you're not sending messages. It's the satellite messengers that will cost you money. So I would look for a personal locator beacon. The advantage of that is it's not a cell phone. So if there's no coverage or whatever, it's fully automated, and you can set it up to contact whoever you want. It's kind of like an emergency position. They used to call these emergency position indicating radio beacons. Boaters use those. And so it's kind of like that. It's a distress signal. Those are monitored by NOAA, but PLBs get GPS location, and then they even have strobe lights and stuff like that. So you've got to register it. I'm not sure exactly how you set what it contacts or who it gets a hold of, but if that's your chief concern is my safety. Now, there are other ways to do it. If you have a smartphone, many smartphones have an emergency activation. You might want to look into it on your smartphone. In the case of my, I think it's my Samsung, I could set it if I triple tap the on-off switch, which you can easily do surreptitiously in your pocket. It will automatically notify the person of your choosing, send out an SOS message, all of that stuff with GPS. So you may already, if you have a smartphone, have something like that. These PLBs are really more for use where there's no signal or you can't be sure you're going to have a signal. So it kind of depends on where you think you're going to be and what kind of capabilities you want.
Okay, great. Real quick, you used to have a sponsor that did virtual card services. I can't remember who it was. Do you happen to remember who that was? And can you recommend a virtual card service for my mother who's had multiple card thefts in the past?
Oh, yeah. So there are a number of ways to do that. Many credit card companies now will allow you to create virtual cards that way. Capital One, for instance, which is one of our sponsors, will do that. I think the Discover card will also do that. But I think you're talking about a sponsor we had, which I still use regularly, called Privacy.com. And the idea of Privacy.com, I really love it. For instance, I just bought a pair of shoes from an Italian company. Now, I'm always nervous when I make overseas purchases because, it just makes me a little nervous. So instead of using a real credit card number, I generated a number with Privacy.com. It's a Visa card, and I used that when I purchased it. And you can do two things. You can say this is one-time only purchase, or there's a limit on how much each charge can be. So for a recurring subscription, you could say, hey, this can never be more than $25 a month. And it's immediately locked to that merchant. So no one else, if they intercept the card number or they steal the database from the merchant, they can't reuse that card. Only that merchant can use the card. I think that's a really great security feature. It's a little complicated because your mom doesn't have a standard credit card number anymore. She's going to have you can put a little extension on your browser that when she gets to a site that wants a credit card number, it'll pop up. It says, do you want me to generate a card for this? She'll have to copy and paste the card number, the expiration date, and the security code because it's, of course, completely different each time. But then that card is locked in. She can, as I said, she can specify a limit. It's locked into that merchant. I really like this. There's one disadvantage, and it's for some people it's a showstopper. You need to connect it to either a debit card or a bank account, and that makes sense because they need to be able to pull that money. So that's for some people a showstopper. If you're setting it up for your mom, that's not a big deal. It's going to come out of her bank account. The nice thing about that is she's not going to run a tab. There's no interest at all because it's just a direct withdrawal.
Right, and you only have to worry about one company as opposed to many others.
Yeah, and I trust these guys. I know the Privacy.com guy. He's a great guy. It's, I think, a very trustworthy business, and I've been using this for more than a year. Frankly, I use it all the time. I have a privacy number that only is on Amazon. So even if somebody got my Amazon account and stole the credit card number, they couldn't use it anywhere else. So I really like that feature. I use it. The other reason I like it is I do this a lot. I sign up for subscriptions, Netflix or whatever, and forget about it. And 2 years later, I go, wow, I'm still paying that monthly fee. I didn't even use that thing. With Privacy, you can pause a card anytime. So you name the card, you name it Netflix, and if you say, you don't even have to go to Netflix to cancel, you just pause the card and it can't charge you anymore. The card number is no longer good. And you can unpause them. You can unpause them as well, which is really nice.
I'll pass that along. Thank you so much, Leo.
Hey, my pleasure. Stay safe.
Thank you.
Yeah, Clinton. I don't want you to get in trouble out there. I think that I have to look and see if iPhone sends an SOS. I believe it does. I know my Apple Watch will. Yeah, there is an emergency SOS on the iPhone. You press the sleep-wake button, what we think of, what us normal people think of as the on-off button, 5 times in rapid succession. And this works on any iPhone. And what will happen is it pulls up an interface that says, do you want to call emergency services? You can set it to automatically call down. So the reason they do it is that way, if it's in your pocket, you don't have to take it out and do anything. You just press the on-off switch 5 times quickly, and it'll send out an emergency SOS. So Android and iPhone both do that. That requires iOS 11 or later. But I would hope, if you have an iPhone, you're keeping it up to date. You can add emergency contacts, so after the emergency call ends, the iPhone also notifies your loved ones or whatever. I think this is a great feature. So you may not need a personal locator beacon. That's really for That's for areas where there's no cell coverage. But if you pretty much always somewhere where there's cell coverage, just look at your phone. Almost all phones now have this emergency thing. I think it's a really, really nice feature. I only have about half a minute left before we have to take a break. So let's pause, put a pin in that, as they say, and we'll come back, take more of your calls. 8888 Ask Leo is the phone number. 888-827-5536. Toll free from anywhere in the U.S. or Canada. You can also use Skype out if you're outside that area and call me. Website techguylabs.com. That's where you'll find answers to all the questions and audio and video from all 1,623 shows. techguylabs.com. Don't forget our chat room, too. Nice bunch in there. irc.twit.tv. They go all through the show. Well, hey, how are you today? Leo Laporte here, the Tech Guy. Time to talk computers, the internet, home theater, digital photography, smartphones, smartwatches, anything digital on your mind. 8888 Ask Leo, the phone number. Toll free from anywhere in the U.S. or Canada. You could Skype out to it as well. That should be toll free from anywhere in the world. 888-827-5536. When we talk about stuff, we put it on the website. Just that way you don't need to worry about it. You writing it down or anything, it'll all be there. It all lives on forever at techguylabs.com. Back to we were talking about safety, weren't we? I think we covered that, right? Your phone. Use your phone. Always a good idea. And failing that, there are third-party devices. I guess we covered it. Now it's Danny, Prescott, Arizona. Hello, Danny. Leo Laporte, the Tech Guy.
Good morning, Leo. Last week, I had called in about my GPS with issue with
Did
my
you solve
Hyundai.
that?
Right.
So you had two different cars. One, the GPS was right on, up to date. And the other, it's tended to lag several miles behind. And we couldn't figure out what it is. Did you figure it out?
I believe my wife, Renee, did, actually.
Of course, because Renee is smart.
Yes, she is. When it comes to laptop computers and stuff like that, she's
a whiz, huh?
She's a whiz.
Nice.
But this, what it was basically... what we did was went out to the car, and I was driving her to work, and I had the phone up there, and the GPS on my mount, which, by the way, was in a position, was on top of the dashboard.
Yeah.
Centered.
Yeah.
Okay, and there were several people in the chat room that talked about the window tinting and possibly...
We thought that one car's window tinting might have had more metal in it, and maybe that was blocking the GPS.
Right, but I don't think that was the issue here. My wife had looked up at the mirror, the rear view mirror that we have in the car. It is attached to the windshield. On those cars that have the mirror attached to the windshield, embedded in the windshield is a metal mesh.
I have that in one of my cars. Yeah, I know what you're talking about. Yeah.
Yeah, and you see that there.
Yeah.
Well, my phone is mounted right below that.
Yeah.
And so, taking your advice, I moved the phone after I dropped my wife off at work. I moved the phone from that position to a position on the far left side of the windshield.
Yes.
Started back home, and the phone picked up the GPS.
Oh, my goodness.
And it was perfect all the way. I went about halfway, stopped, put the phone back in the mount, started up again, and the position didn't move. It took about 3 miles before it finally caught up. So I believe that mesh that is supporting that mirror was part of getting...
blocking the signal. It just happened to be right where the view of the sky was, I guess, and that was all it took. Yeah. Well, I'm thrilled that you called, because it's good to know. We get these puzzlers once in a while, and I always wonder, what is it that was going on? Thank you, Danny. I'm glad your wife, Renee, is so smart.
Yeah. She's helped me out on a lot of things, especially with my laptop.
I love these kind of the problems because it really tests your logic, right? You just have to think of, what could it be?
Right. And at first we thought it was the hybrid drive.
Yeah. Yeah.
But there were several people that called and said, or on the chat room, who said that they had hybrids and they didn't have a problem with it.
Right.
So
we had three different possibilities. One was the electric motor in the hybrid. The other was window tinting, a lot of metal in it. And the third was, I can't remember what the other one was, but
the positioning of
just
the
where it is in the car, and repositioning it did fix it. That's nice.
Now I got to go find a new mount, a smaller mount, because where I want to put it.
Well, you also want to be careful because in Arizona there's a very intense sun hitting that phone. I remember I had an Uber driver, probably in somewhere like Arizona, maybe it was Vegas. She had a little tent for her phone to keep it out of the sun because it had to sit in the, the Uber driver has to have that phone for picking up rides. But the sun was killing it because what'll happen if it gets too hot in there, your phone will say, I can't go on. It's too hot, and just shut down to protect its circuits, as it should. Thank you, Danny. Glad to know. And thank you, Renee. Jerry, Pennsylvania. Leo Laporte, the tech guy. Hi, Jerry. Did I press the right button?
Yes.
There we go. Hi, Jerry. Go ahead.
Hi. Leo, before I give you my problem, can I make a suggestion for the show?
Please.
Could you please put a row of LEDs or on your Chiron and indicate them how many phone lines are open? So
That's good. That is an interesting idea.
Because you don't know, and you're dialing, everybody's going crazy, dialing, getting a busy signal. So if you had an indication, if an open line, you got it.
There's so rarely an open line. I don't know if that would. Here's what I'll tell you. The best thing to do, so the way we do this, we have 6 lines. I don't want to have more than that because if I had 100 lines, there'd be somebody waiting 3 weeks to get online in position 99. So we figure 6. Leo gets through maybe that many an hour. So your wait time might be as long as an hour. I should warn everybody about that. It can be a fairly long hold. But then there's the issue also of getting through because if those 6 lines are full, you'll get a trunk full message from the phone system. They'll say, no, there's no more room. The best way to do it, of course, is when I'm finishing with somebody and hang up on them. That's a guaranteed open line. Problem is I often don't hang up on people. I just will leave them. Nicole asked me this. She said, you want me to hang up on line 1? He's been holding on through the commercial. I said, no, he knows we're done. I'm just letting him listen.
Are you ready for my head scratcher?
So the real problem I have is how we would do that because we'd have to somehow tie our phone system to our video system, and I don't know if there's an easy way to do that. So
and now you put a roll of lids under your clock.
Yeah, it gives me some programming task. Always looking for those.
No, just
on the clock. All right, I can put it on the clock, but that's only good if you're watching. Anybody listening to the radio is going to be just as puzzled as ever.
Okay, anyhow, my problem, Leo, are you ready?
Yes.
Okay, I have a Lenovo desktop computer, and I have 2 monitors. One's HDMI and one is VGA, and everything is working great.
Yeah.
Until I had the horrible update.
The horrible update? You mean 1903?
1903.
Yeah.
Here's the problem. My HDMI was a bigger monitor. I had it set for monitor number 1 and my VGA for number 2.
Yeah.
I can't reverse it, and they have changed. My HDMI is stuck on number 2. I can't make it number 1. And I tried everything. I called Microsoft.
So you went into the display control panel and tried to rearrange them, right?
Oh, I have. I've done that. I can swap them on the screen, but when I hit identify, the numbers don't change. HDMI is stuck on number 2. Now I plugged that monitor into a laptop. Not a problem. And
the way Windows decides where to put monitors, I think so one port is HDMI. What's the other port?
VGA.
VGA. And both of them go to, do you have a discrete video card or both of them go to the motherboard?
They both go to the motherboard.
Okay. So what Windows is doing is saying, well, we don't want to use a VGA monitor if we can avoid it. That's the worst possible quality, analog, low resolution. So let's use HDMI. And as long as you've got an HDMI monitor on the other end, it's going to always default to be the number 1 monitor, I think. I don't know. I really don't know where you could fix that, to be honest with you. Lou MM, who works at Microsoft, so he might have an inside track, says reset the drivers for monitor and GPU. He doesn't have a discrete GPU, but okay. Reset the drivers for monitor and GPU in Device Manager. Go to View, Show Hidden, remove or uninstall all devices, monitor and GPU. But then what? It'll re-plug and play. So what he's saying, I guess, is that the monitors were configured for a prior version. When you put that new version in, he says the best thing to do is remove those device drivers for the two display ports, the VGA and the HDMI. Let Windows redo them. It will when you reboot. It'll say, "Oh, you don't have a driver," and then everything should be okay. I'm gonna trust Lou MM. He knows his stuff. He's a Microsoft guy. It seems like, though, that you could just go into the display settings and say, this is my primary display. What is the issue? The resolution is bad?
Well, if I do the HDMI, the screen shrinks on the HDMI monitor.
Oh, well, that's another issue, but I think removing and letting the drivers reinstall will fix that. But that's another issue, which is that you've tried that? I've
called Levena and Microsoft and AMD, and nobody can fix it. I even took it to the Microsoft store.
Did you do the remove the driver trick?
If I disable it, I can get I can get the right resolution on my HDMI monitor, but the VGA won't work. And as soon as I plug the VGA in, the HDMI goes off. I can't get my HDMI monitor to come on unless I sign on with the VGA. If I sign on the VGA, then the HDMI lights up.
That's an interesting little conundrum here.
It's a damn update did it to me.
Yeah, this is a problem, of course, with updates in general is, sometimes there are major changes to the operating system, and that's a big deal, right? Then it still says Windows 10. I still like Lou's idea, which is to completely remove the drivers and let Windows plug and play figure it out. And then you do want to choose the main display to be the display, the HDMI probably would be preferred, but for whatever reason you want to choose VGA. And then also make sure that the device driver for the display is correct. That's another issue. Now, display device drivers are just text files. All they say is, here's the resolutions this monitor can handle, here's the refresh rate this monitor can handle. They're very simple. It sounds to me, when you're using the HDMI monitor, you get a little tiny display. It sounds to me like the device driver, the settings in that are wrong. It's saying, well, I can only handle 640 by 480. And I can only handle a 29.97 refresh rate. But the problem is that gives you a little tiny thing in your window. So I would also take a look at removing the display drivers, the drivers for those particular displays. Make sure you have the correct one in there. If it's using a default VGA driver, that's not going to give you the good results either. And in fact, if you have a manufacturer or make for that driver, wouldn't be a bad idea to go and get a new one. You could even edit them if you want. This is a black diamond tip. But as I said, in my experience, and maybe it's different now, but in my experience, anytime I've looked at a display, device driver for a screen, not your video card, but for the screen, for your monitor, it's just a text file. It says the capabilities of that monitor. Be careful, you don't want to give it a capability it doesn't have. You can actually blow the monitor. But maybe that's not true anymore. That was true in the CRT days. I bet you can't blow an HDMI LCD monitor. 8888 Ask Leo. Maybe you know a better idea. Meanwhile, let's talk. And you can also leave it at the website, techguylabs.com. Comments welcome there. 8888 Ask Leo. Maybe you got a solution for the display conundrum. I like these brain teasers. Give me a ring. Let's help them out, all right? I love our sponsors. The Tech Guy Podcast today, sponsored by Capterra. This actually is such a great service, and they give it away I really should just give away this ad. I mean, they are amazing. Capterra is a directory of business tools. The number one online resource to help you find the best software for your solution for your business. And there's so many people using old, out-of-date software. They're stuck with Windows 7 or worse, XP or Internet Explorer 8 because the software was written for that and doesn't work on newer software. But that doesn't have to be the case. That does not have to be the case. There's great business software for every kind of business that's modern, up-to-date, and you can find it at Capterra.com. Capterra lets you search 700 categories of business software, all the big categories, project management, email marketing, CRM, but even direct line of business software like veterinary office management or yoga studio management. If you use software in your business, you need to visit Capterra.com and see what's out there. Thousands and thousands of programs. Narrow it down. You can see all the names. Often in any category, every given category, there's 10, 20, 30, but you can narrow it down, check those boxes, say, oh, it's got to be 4 stars or better, it's got to be on premises, or it's got to be in the cloud, it's got to support making appointments, whatever the features you are. And you'll see when you're looking at any particular kind of software that those boxes change, the filters change to match that software. That's so cool. So you can really find the stuff that does exactly what you want. Compare up to 4 programs side by side, even in a chart, just like you'd see on a product review article or something like that. But here's the best part: the reviews. Capterra's users are so active, so good, and they want to help other Capterra users so much that they have posted now 1 million reviews of products. These are real people really using the software. There's 1,000 new reviews every single day. These are informed reviews you can use to really narrow it down to the software you want to try. Millions of people use Capterra every month. That's why there's so many reviews. And there's new ones coming in all the time. Capterra believes software makes the world a better place because software can help every organization become a more efficient, effective version of itself. I believe the same thing. That's why I tell everybody, go to Capterra.com/techguy. It's free. Always free, no charge at all. Find the tools you need to make an informed decision for your business. Capterra, Capterra.com/techguy. Capterra is software selection simplified. And it is a great thing to have in your back pocket. When you need that software, go to Capterra.com/techguy. Thank you, Capterra, for making the Tech Guy podcast possible. Leo Laporte, the Tech Guy. 8888 Ask Leo. The phone number, line 2, Jerry, La Habra Heights, California. Hello, Jerry.
Hello, Leo.
Hello, Jerry.
Yesterday, I graduated from DSL to actually having a cable internet.
Oh, how do you feel? Do you feel like you're traveling at light speed?
I had no idea what I was missing, but I'm an old guy who lived in the Stone Age.
Oh,
so
it's nice, isn't it?
It's something I should have done years and years and years ago.
Yeah, DSL, nothing wrong with DSL. It's from the phone company, but it's kind of limited in speed because it has to work over those 2 copper wires your phone line carry.
I was getting 1.4
Yikes.
Megabits per second with my DSL, and I'm getting, 70 or something now. So it's over 50 times faster.
Isn't that nice? Oh.
And, it doesn't. You don't have to do all this buffering and stuff when you stream. It just plays it regular.
No more. Like, we're spoiled nowadays. We forgot what it was like. I remember my first high-speed connection was an ISDN line, the predecessor to DSL, and I was that was at top speed, 128 kilobits per second. Less 1/8 what you were getting, and I was happy. I loved it.
America Online dial-up modem for a long time.
Mm-hmm.
Somebody would send me a TIFF image, and it would take 30 minutes to
get.
And it's like, I'd go and make a sandwich.
The sad thing is, as our bandwidth has increased, as the size of our hard drives gets bigger, the only real thing that's happened is everything's gotten more bloated. So a picture now is many megabytes. Programs now are often a gigabyte or larger. It's expanded. Our waistlines have expanded to match our capabilities.
Yep. Oh, well, I have a small little 2-bedroom house, and I have a detached garage that's 300 feet from the house. In America, we call that one football field.
100 yards.
I want to somehow get the signal out there, and my cable guy, Larry the cable guy, said I should get a mesh system, but I don't even know what he's
Even a mesh system might not solve that because of the distance. Wi-Fi really is intended for 150 feet or less. So in other words, you're twice as far as just a normal, if you put a Wi-Fi router in the window, that's pretty distant. A football field's pretty distant. So there are ways to...
Hold on a minute. We have an outdoor patio, and my lovely wife, Ruth, she wants to get the internet out there. So if I could at least get it out to there, I would be happy.
Well, how far is the patio?
I don't know, 50 feet.
Yeah, well, that'll work. You could use you have a small home, so a mesh would be good, but it's not going to get it all the way out to the garage. For that, probably the best bet would be to get a directional Wi-Fi antenna and receiver, and then you can beam it. You can go much farther. In fact, Wi-Fi has gone as far as 7 miles with the proper directional antenna. That's the key.
Aha.
So, sorry, I had a break there. That's one solution, and there are places you can go to find these antennas, and they're even. I'll tell you a site that's a good site for learning more about the antennas, the kinds of antennas, so you can choose wisely.
Okay.
As soon as I can remember the name of it, Wi-Fi antenna. It's radio something. Darnation. Is it Radio Lab? I can't remember. I'm going to look here. I'll find it for you. Radiolabs, plural.com. Radiolabs, plural. In fact, the very front page, what is the best Wi-Fi antenna for me? And so it explains to you the difference between directional, omnidirectional, and point-to-point and point-to-multi-point. It'll become immediately clear what you need, probably point-to-point. But a directional antenna can sometimes help you with that too. And then they sell all of these, so you can kind of figure out what it is you need. And this is a really good company that gives you deep understanding of what you're looking for. There's all kinds of antennas to do.
If I wanted to get this company charges me $5 a month. It's called Spectrum. It's $5 a month to rent their Wi-Fi router.
No.
Should I just get my own?
Yeah.
What
absolutely.
Should I get?
Well, that one's a little more complicated. How many square foot?
I don't know, 1,200, 1,500.
It's pretty small, so a single Wi-Fi unit would be enough. The patio, though, adds another interesting fillip to this.
My wife's demanding it gets out to the patio.
So there's one company that makes a very good mesh router. It's Netgear, and the router's called the Orbi. It's the only one I know of that makes an outdoor router as well. So you can have the Orbi inside connected to they call it a satellite system, and that could be outside. It's weatherproof. That would guarantee the patio, and it might even be enough to get to the garage. Because I presume the patio is between your house and the garage.
That is correct.
Yeah, so might even be enough. It's certainly worth a try. I like the Orbis a lot. They're very nice, high-speed routers. Netgear is a good company. They make good routers. And this is, narrowed down by the fact that you want to get it outdoors. Truthfully, the patio's not that far away. Where does the cable come in? Is it close to the patio side of the house?
The cable comes in right in the middle of the house.
Okay.
The router is in the middle of the house right now.
Yeah. So maybe, because Wi-Fi is technically a line of sight. It's operating at a high enough frequency, 2.4 gigahertz and 5 gigahertz, that walls can block it. And a wall with metal in it metal screens will absolutely block it. So it may even be that you're going to have a hard time to the patio. So that might be a good excuse to get the Orbi with one satellite out by the patio, or at least near the window by the patio. And heck, if you put it out by the patio, it might even get all the way to the garage. So an Orbi with one outdoor base extension unit. They call it satellites.
I have halfway in between the house and the garage, I have a little shed where I keep tools and stuff. There's electricity in there. If I put one of these little plug-in things,
so as long as if you can inchworm it, to the patio, to the shed, to the garage, absolutely. That's the whole idea of these mesh systems. That's probably why the guy recommended it. As you get past 150 feet from the nearest connection, it's going to be bad. But if you can kind of daisy chain them out there, you might be able to do it. These are not cheap. Orbi's all mesh systems are more expensive.
I was just at Best Buy and I saw the Orbi outdoor one.
Oh,
that was $350.
Yeah, it's expensive. Yeah, and you still need a base unit.
Right, and that's
so you're gonna spend $500 easy. Hey,
right.
I got to run, but I think that would be a good solution for you. It's what I'd recommend if you don't mind spending that money. It probably get out to the garage. Mama, don't take my coat. That's the music I love to hear. It means our photo guy, Chris Marquardt's in the house. Chris is a very accomplished professional photographer who also leads some of the best photo workshops all over the world. You'll find those workshops at discoverthetopfloor.com. He's also written some really great books about film photography. I love his wide-angle photography books. Got a new one on the way. Hi, Chris.
Hi, Leo. How are you today?
Good to see you. I am well. How are you? You were in East Germany.
I spent last weekend exploring a potential new workshop location. There's an old factory, and they've been doing creative workshops there for years, pretty much since the end of the 90s. And they have this, just imagine a wild creative space, still has a lot of old factory character, but that means for photographers, it's like a treasure.
Yeah.
You can
Some photographers want beauty. Some find beauty in old industrial spaces.
There's a good mixture of like really nice areas and very rusty, cruddy areas. So yeah, it's a very good mixture in a beautiful setting. So there's a good chance that next year we'll go there and do maybe some old-timey photography, even maybe some analog stuff. They have an old darkroom, an old East German darkroom in there. God. It's amazing. It's really amazing.
How fun is that?
So we are unearthing some treasure there.
That sounds like a lot of fun. I've never been on any of Chris's workshops. In all the years I've known you, I got to do one. We'll figure it out.
That might be the one. Yeah. Anyway, Leo.
Yes.
I have lately been wondering about a few things, and one is I've noticed that a lot of photographers today are kind of stressed out about photography in some way or another.
Yeah.
And I have just a few days ago, I sent out a tweet asking people about what stresses you out about photography, and the amount of response was amazing.
Why are we so? Maybe just the world is a stressful place. That's part of it. Everything's stressing us out these days.
It kind of, yeah. But let's go through what those responses were, because I could group them into different kinds of groups, different kind of areas.
I'm very curious. Yeah.
That was really eye-opening. So, what do you think was high on the list? Or let me ask you, what stresses you out about your photography? There must be something that is a bit...
I think probably one that's fairly common. You know, photography now is something everybody does because we all have very, very good cameras in our pockets with our smartphones. And between Instagram and Flickr and Facebook, we're seeing a lot of images, many more images than we used to. It used to be, when I was growing up, you saw great photography in Life magazine. Mm-hmm. Once a week. It would be inspiring, be exciting. Maybe you had a photo book, and that'd be about it. Maybe if you were lucky, you went to a gallery.
I was always poring over National Geographic. I mean,
another great example. Great photography, right? So, but nowadays it's everywhere, and so I think one of the things that's stressful for me is I feel like there's so much photography. I don't think I can do anything new or different or exciting anymore.
So is it? Yeah, I can understand that.
See what I'm saying?
Yeah, I do. So the top thing that people responded was actually time.
I don't have enough time.
They don't have enough time for photography. There are too many things in their day. There's the family, daddy, are you coming? You know, these kind of things. Not enough time to do photography. Not enough time to do practice. And especially high on the list, not enough time to do post-processing.
Yeah, that's true.
To work on those photos.
Yeah.
And the promise that we seem to keep getting from whoever wants to sell us something is that it's all about the photography, but it's never about making that later part of the process easy or quick.
No. Although I have this great thing that somebody wrote called, what was it, 1,000 pictures in 1 hour?
1 hour, 1,000 pictures. Yeah, well, but that is trying to fix a symptom, right? Because another
Chris
thing
wrote
that
it, by the way. It's a fabulous PDF I highly
It's a little
recommend
thing.
on how to
But
process.
it's amazing how people. Okay, time is the biggest one. Pressure. People feel a lot of pressure when it comes to their photography, and
that's what I was saying. Kind of pressure. Yeah.
That is time. That is also trying to meet your own standards. I mean, a lot of people are. They see a lot of great photography, such as you do, everywhere, and then they try to get these kind of photos, but they can't because there might be not the experience or the time to practice.
I'm just not good enough.
Another kind of pressure that I found interesting that some answered was, now I have all this expensive gear, and every time I go out, I feel that pressure of using it, of making use of the expensive stuff I bought, but that takes too much time. And then there's the other pressure. There's the family, and they want to go for a walk, and they don't want to wait for you to play with your expensive gear. So these are a couple of things. Being overwhelmed is another one.
Yeah,
people are overwhelmed by so many things. There's too many photos.
Yeah,
like just look in your library. When I open my Lightroom, I might be an extreme case, but there's like 120,000 pictures waiting for me.
Me too. Right.
So that doesn't really help a lot of people.
No.
There's also a lot of being overwhelmed by the tech, by the cameras, by too many menus, too many buttons, too many things in the cameras. I've seen this. I've seen this answer several times where people said, "I wish I hadn't bought this XYZ highest level camera because that is so much more complicated."
I never say that.
One that.
I say, how can I get another really expensive camera?
Well, but you're kind of different here. Another one being, I think, a thing that people are overwhelmed over is it's just the simple fact that a lot of the cameras are very heavy. So that's one thing the industry is trying to solve by making lighter cameras, by making them mirrorless, by taking stuff out. So
yeah. Although ironically, I got a question from somebody. So I just got this Fujifilm mirrorless, the new XH1, and it's bigger than my Sony. Why is it so big? It's supposed to be lighter and mirrorless.
They're growing again. They're growing again.
They're getting bigger again.
They are. And one last thing that I picked up there in the answers was just a simple fact of clutter, and that goes into well, again. The amount of pictures, your catalog is so big you can't find anything, so there is often a lot of clutter there. That's what I tried to address with the 1 hour 1,000 pictures thing. So there was just a tiny bit of that. But another area of clutter is the equipment, because we tend to have a lot of stuff, right? And that can become a bit difficult to find your way through all that, the different lenses, the different accessories. So I'm on this thing right now where I'm trying to kind of wrap my mind around these stress factors, what stresses people out. I'm trying to find out the reasons why these things are stressful for people, and in the end, hopefully find some solutions for that. So I want to tap into your audience, everyone who's listening to this and who owns a camera. I have a little form out where I'm asking a few questions. What stresses you out about photography? Why do you think that stresses you out? Do you have an idea how to solve that? Just a few basic questions that can help me get a bit better idea of that. And there's a link, and that is tfttf.com/photostress. tfttf.com/photostress. And I would really appreciate if a few of you could, fill that out.
I'm going to do it.
Help me get more insight.
Yeah. What, are you going to write a book? Eliminate the stress.
I don't really know where this is going to go.
I love it, though. I think this is a good thing to acknowledge.
And find out more.
It's a good thing to acknowledge, and I feel like it's a modern issue. But stress is a modern issue, too, isn't it? Chris Marquardt, discoverthetopfloor.com, and if you want to take the do the little fill in the little thing for him, tfttf.com/photostress. We're going to take a break. When I come back, I will tell you our assignment for the month, because I think next week or the week after, we're going to have to do a review.
Next week.
Thank you, Chris.
Thank you.
Is it, did we do door? We did door.
Yes.
It's, what's
I messed it up 2 weeks ago. It's electric.
Electric. Okay, we're going to do electric. Thanks, Chris. Have a wonderful day.
I'm curious. I mean, this might be a book. This might be something.
I think there's something there. It's like that book, the artist book that you suggested, which I love, on writers on block. Creative blocks.
Yes.
I
don't know. There's a lot of that kind of stuff out there.
I'm stressed, and it keeps me from doing what I love, which is take pictures. I love Lisa. And Lisa's so good because for some reason she doesn't have any of this stress. She doesn't put any pressure on herself. She just goes out and takes pictures and processes them and loves it. And I don't think she feels it.
And a lot of people are afraid to make mistakes, and then they just stop doing it because they might make a mistake, or some might have FOMO. That adds stress on top. So there are a lot of reasons that are there. And then once those are clear, I think it's easier to find a way out because you kind of know where it's coming from.
Yeah.
That's the broad thought right now.
Well, anything unexamined isn't going to get better, so.
That's very true.
It's probably worth
very
exploring it to figure out what's going on.
That's what I'm doing right now.
I will have, maybe by the next time we talk, I will have the camera that's going to fix all this for me.
Exactly. That's you said it.
Once I have the A7R4, life will be better. Everyone knows that.
It will be in one way. It certainly will be.
I'm so excited. And this is going to be the one I'm taking to the Holy Land, to the Middle East with me. So I want to make sure I really know it. That gives me about 6 weeks to learn it. So I'll be taking a lot of photos.
We should put together like a training boot camp for that camera for you.
Okay.
Go out every time. 1, 2, 3, 4.
Just tell me what to do. I'll do it. I need, I realized
I can put some exercises
that if I'm going to stay
you.
healthy, I need to have exercise every day. And I realized I'm never going to do it on my own. So I have a personal trainer 5 days a week now because it's the only way.
Yeah, well, you should have a personal photo trainer.
I need you to be my
put
personal.
Something together for after next episode, after next week when we do the assignment review.
Good.
We'll go.
By then, I'll for sure. I think September 9th is the ship date. So by then, I'll have it, and I'm hoping I'm going to get this 135 millimeter lens that was supposed to come with it too. So
yeah,
that'll be fun. I'll be ready for boot camp.
I will set
on your
something up for you.
knees. Get down and give me 50.
And we'll make this with public accountability. So you'll have to show off results.
Oh, you're cold, man.
Listeners will love that. The chat will love that.
It'll be fun.
See Leo suffer.
It'll be fun. See Leo suffer. Yeah, I could do a vlog around it or something. That'd be really fun.
Yeah, sure. Why not?
Leo Laporte, the tech guy. Chris always leaves us with a photo assignment. Next week we'll be reviewing. They go around a month, so we're to week 4 of our photo assignment next week. Here's how it works. Take a picture. This is all just about getting you out and taking pictures, and me too. Take a picture illustrating the word or concept electricity. Electricity. All right, we're doing the alphabet. We've done A, B, C, D. Now it's E, electricity. And upload it. The way it works, you upload it to Flickr. Flickr.com, which is a great photo sharing site. It used to be a Yahoo site. Now it's independent once more, which is fantastic news because I love Flickr. We've been using it all this time. We have a group on Flickr called the Tech Guy Group. 11,000 plus people in there, lots of photos. Once you upload it to Flickr, tag it with, I believe we're looking for TG Electricity. I'm going to have to check to make sure. But you know what it says when you go to the Tech Guy Group, what the assignment is and what to do. But follow those instructions. But I think it's tag it with TG Electricity, and submit it to the Tech Guy Group. And in about a week, Chris is going to pick a few, usually 3. We'll take a look at them and talk about why they're good images, and that should be a lot of fun. A lot of fun. So let's participate in that because it's a good way to get you out taking pictures, and I will too. I will too. Line 3, Denise, Torrance, California. Hello, Denise. Leo Laporte, the tech guy.
Hi, Leo. Thanks for taking my call.
Of course.
I just have a couple of things I want to ask you. First, I listened to your show yesterday, and you were talking about clicking on specific, certain sites that look kind of suspicious. And this kind of ties into what I'm trying to talk about, which is I'm looking for freeware that produces the sound of a bass guitar. I have I have a Windows 7 system. I love it. I'm sorry they're not going to have updates for that coming the new year. But for now, I'm just looking for something that's going to emulate the sound of a bass guitar. I'm not in the market to get a MIDI right now, but some freeware that you may know about. So I know there's the internet.
A lot of people, of course, there's many places you can get the sound, boom, doom, doom, a bass guitar sound. Usually what people who want to make music do is they'll get what's called a loop. You remember the Seinfeld show? They had that great bass guitar riff every time there'd be a new scene or they'd end the scene. Do 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 do. It was a slap bass. So that's a loop. It's short. It can be repeated indefinitely without sounding too weird. It's like wallpaper. It repeats perfectly in time. And people use these loops frequently with music software like Fruity Loops, which is the classic they call it FL now because nobody wants Fruity Loops. FL is a great music program. And you can use these loops and you can make music. FL Studio. The nice thing about FL Studio is I believe, unless they've changed, they have a free version of it. Of course, if you have a Macintosh, you have a great program for this called GarageBand. There are lots of free music loop programs. You could take a bass guitar loop and make music out of it. You have other loops like drums and piano and so forth. You can make incredible songs.
Right, and I've heard of a GarageBand. I don't have a Mac.
Do you have a PC? What do you have?
Yes, I do. Okay. I have a Windows 7 PC.
Oh yeah, you said that. Duh. I'm sorry, I'm not too bright. So, the Fruity Edition. The Fruity Edition, I think, is free of Fruity Loops or FL Studio. So I would look at that. That's Windows and Mac, so either version. And it will do loops. And then it comes with loops. I'm pretty sure it'll come with a bass loop. But if not, it's a simple Google search for bass loops, and you'll find a lot of sites that offer music loops of a variety of different kinds. The loop is the best way to do it only because if you just get somebody playing 4 notes on a bass, you can't really do much with it. I take it you would like to make some music, right?
Right. I mean, yes, I would like to do that. I mean, just at a minimal cost, if at all.
Of course. Why pay for it? And that's one of the reasons Apple bundles GarageBand, which is a fabulous program, in with the Mac. I mean, you basically have a fantastic, loop program. I would take a look at FL Studio. There's certainly a trial version you can try, and see. Let's see. Trial lets you. At least lets you play with it. There are I'm sure, other free loop programs as well, or MIDI loop programs. Sometimes they call them digital audio workstations or DAWs. Is there another? Let me ask the chat room. We got a lot of musicians in there. Is there a good choice for her? Yeah. It looks like there's one called Giada, GIADA Music.com. Okay. Your hardcore loop machine. It's free. It's minimal. It's hardcore. Sounds good to me. Anyway, there's a lot of choices out there because this is something a lot of people do. And it's a lot of fun. In fact, a lot of the music you hear these days is not really played by an instrumentalist in a studio. They're using loops and doing it, you have to license the loop if you're going to make a commercial song. Acid Express, somebody's suggesting, that's a good one. So there are a number of good choices out there if you look around. Now, you mentioned the security issue, and I'm glad you brought that up because, you don't want to just go around and download stuff everywhere, and who knows what you're going to get. So the best way to do it is to pick one of these great programs and see what they recommend. Many of them will actually come with loops, so you'll have a choice. Try this Giada. I've never heard of it, but it looks pretty good. GIADA Music.com. Linux, Mac, Windows. It's open source. It's free. And in many cases, these will come with loops, or at least they'll recommend where to go to get some loops. So this is sounds like a good choice. Somebody's saying, I hate Seinfeld, but you love the bass, right? Another person said that almost certainly was a musician playing in the studio. I would guess that's correct. But maybe that musician playing in the studio recorded a bunch of loops, which they then, put on the computer when they're editing the show. Is Seinfeld so old that they probably didn't edit? No, they edited on a computer. That was the 90s. They had computers. And the editor would say, okay, let's put in a loop. And he'd pick one from a set of already recorded loops, almost certainly. I doubt they'd bring in a bass player each time they're editing the show. I don't think so. In fact, I'm pretty sure that's the same loop every time. I might even have it on my my loop machine here. A lot of DJs have these machines. I have a little machine called the Stream Deck that'll let you play little sound effects. I don't use it because I respect you. I don't. No, that's this one. Whoop. It's a very short one. Now, I don't know who's doing the pop, 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 pop. That's probably somebody in there with a wah, 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 doing a little mouth music. It's pretty much always the same, right? All right, that's a loop. That's definitely a loop. GiadaMusic.com. That's one I'm going to take a look at and see how that is. Another one, Sonic Foundry, which has been around for years, is now part of the Acid Music family. Acid Music, Sonic Foundry. Many of these do have a free version because that's how they get you hooked. Right? Oh, it's free. And then as you add more capabilities, GarageBand's a good example. That's free from Apple, but it's a mini version of their full-fledged program, Logic Studio, which is used very widely in the recording industry. It's a very popular loop mix. Oh, I'm wrong. Knox Harrington. The truth about the iconic theme song from Seinfeld. The theme song was improvised in every episode. Now, I'm not talking about the theme, just the little stingers, the little bumpers. GarageBand comes with a bunch of bass loops. So if you have a Macintosh, you can make pretty darn good music with just the free program that comes with Apple. 8888 Ask Leo. We'll put links to. We're getting a number of program suggestions. Thank you, chat room. James DeRuvo will capture all of those, put them on the website, techguylabs.com. Well, hey, how are you today? Leo Laporte here, the tech guy. Oh, yeah, that time again. Talk about computers, the internet, home theater, digital photography. We talk about smartphones. We talk about smart watches. 8888 Ask Leo. That's the phone number, 888-827-5536. Toll free from anywhere in the U.S. or Canada, 8888 Ask Leo. And there's also the website, techguylabs.com. That's free, no sign up, no subscription. We love having you use that because then you don't have to write stuff down while you're driving around. 8888 Ask Leo. Well, let's go back to I just want to take a lot of calls here. Let's go back to the phones. Line 4, Susan in San Diego. Thank you for your patience, Susan.
Hi there.
Hey, welcome.
I'm trying to figure out, we have a studio, and I want security in it. A lot of people have been given keys to train in, etc., but things have started to go missing.
Oh, rats. Don't you hate? What kind of studio? Art studio? Recording studio?
No, fighting studio.
Who would steal from a fighting studio? That sounds like a recipe for disaster.
Well, we're not saying that. We're saying things are just being misplaced. Who knows?
So you want to know what's going on in the fighting studio?
Well, so trying to figure out, would love to have something wireless, but during classes and things, we figure, might as well too for instructors and the sexual harassment stuff, and just make sure everything's on the up and up.
I agree.
But if we go with the wireless, I think the fact that it would be recording, 8 hours a day would just drain the heck out of it. We rent.
Yeah, there are companies that make battery powered cameras. The way they keep that from depleting the battery too fast is they only are on when something's moving.
Right.
But that means a lot in your studio. There's always something moving, right?
Yeah, so at least 8 hours a day.
There are many cameras that are wired only for the power. They plug into the wall. And that's what I would recommend.
All right. Any particular brand?
Yeah. Oh, I have some really good. I have tons of recommendations. At home, we use Google's Nest cameras, And I think they give you great images, but there's a negative to it. A, they're very expensive, and B, the monthly fee that you pay for storing your video. And they'll store, 7 days, 10 days, months if you want, but you pay more for the more storage. There's a company that does something a little different that makes great cameras very inexpensively. It's called Wyze, W-Y-Z-E. It's at wisecam.com. And their cameras start at $20.
Wow.
So you can get a bunch of them. You do have to plug them in, but they use Wi-Fi, so it's only one thing to plug in. They have night vision. They have, like the Nest cams, two-way audio, so you can hear what's going on, but you can also say, hey, I see you, knock it off. That's always fun. We were, last night, we were out on the deck and our son, who was out camping for Labor Day weekend, couldn't resist pestering us through the camera. I see you. Knock it off, Michael. So, but it is a fun thing. Wisecam doesn't do the subscription thing. That's the other thing. So they make two. Their $20 camera is just pointed at one direction. It's actually a great camera. It's as good as the Nest camera. It does a great job. They also have a pan cam, which will pan if you have a large space. It will rotate. It's only $30. It will rotate through the space and stop when it sees movement and notify you. Now, here's the difference. They don't store the video for you. They have a little SD card slot. You could put a memory card in there if you want to store it locally. The main intent is when there's movement, and at night you would want this, it'll notify you on your phone. You'll get a pop on your phone that says, I see movement. And you hit it, and you'll see what's going on in there. So it has motion tracking. It has sound tracking. It will notify you if there's a sound, like breaking glass. I think these are fantastic. Fantastic. No monthly fee. They're not as smart as the Nest cams. The Nest cams supposedly learn people's faces and don't notify you if it's somebody you know and all that stuff. But for just getting the security of knowing, if somebody's stealing something, this is, I'm sorry, if things are going misplaced, this is great. Now, remember, you're going to have to put up signs in the studio saying you're being recorded, because the students coming in have a reasonable expectation of privacy, so you'll want them to know that. When people come to our studios where we have all these cameras on all the time, we actually have a waiver, a form that they sign, make sure that they know that and they agree it's okay, that kind of thing. So, but I would go to Wyze, WYZE.com. It's not wisecam.com. The Wisecam is the name of the product, but it's Wyze, W-Y-Z-E. What I like about them is they're a Seattle-based, they're a U.S.-based company. They have a very good privacy policy. And because you're not storing the video on their servers, you don't have to worry about that. And I think they really work well. I'm a big fan of these. I know a lot of people have used them. They have infrared lights, so even if it's pitch black in the studio at night, you can see what's going on, which is remarkable. I think that there's nothing better. The only difference is they don't record on a server, so you can't go back. But wait a minute, I take it back. They do store up to 14 days for free, which is all you need. Exactly. Is there? I will give them a call. I will peruse their website. I think you'll love it. You do have to plug them in. And there are some companies, as I said, that make battery-powered ones, but you nailed it. They're going to run out, especially because they'll run all day while people are at the studio. Yes, exactly. Yeah, and that ruined my first idea. Hey, let's go with these. But you could find a plug. You could find a plug, and the thing is, the cameras are so wide angle you can put them almost anywhere, and you'll be able to see everything that's going on. Home Depot has them. So you can look at that if you want to see them in action. They're cheap. They're cheesy. They're not made like tanks. Who cares? They work. And I have one that's been running continuously for more than a year with no problems, so I know they last. Perfect. All right. Thank you, Leo. My pleasure. Thanks for listening. I'm actually glad to give these guys a plug. And as I said, there's over my shoulder, there's a Nest Cam. There's one in each studio here. And I also have one at 2 at home. Actually 3 at home. Not inside, because my wife hates that idea, and I don't blame her, but we do have the perimeter of the house, so we could see any movement around the house. That's, it's just a peace of mind, especially if you're away. If you're on vacation, it's nice to be able to, know if something's going on. And your teenager kids will just love pestering you with them. I feel like there's another issue I should, there is. There are legal limits, especially with audio, oddly enough, recording. If you're in the state of California, we're a two-party state, you have to get the consent of the people whose images and voice are being recorded. So very, very important, if you do put this in a place of business, that you follow the rules in your state regarding recordings. There, I've said my legal disclaimer. Leo Laporte, the tech guy, 8888. Ask Leo, the phone number. Give us a ring. We'll talk more right after this. We were talking earlier. You guys were talking about Plex, right? I love my Plex. I use Plex on a Synology. What is Plex? Oh, you're probably wondering. Maybe Leo should talk about our sponsor, Plex. Plex brings together all the media that matters to you in a single app. On your phone, on your desktop, on your TV, on your Roku, your Apple TV. I've got Plex on every single device because I'm running a Plex server, and that way I could see everything, all my content on the go, wherever I am, offline or online. Actually, offline's new, and I love it. Plex allows you to download movies, shows, music, and photos to your mobile device. Then, when you get on the airplane, you're in airplane mode, doesn't matter. You can still watch the shows. It is so great. It is so flexible. Plex is key to anybody who loves media. You can organize and stream your personal collection of movies, TV shows, music, photos, free. Watch live broadcast TV and DVR with the Plex Pass, an antenna and a tuner. Cut the cord. Stop paying for cable. Enjoy great TV. Music features now in Plex are fantastic. Platinum Music. Enjoy premium music features like lyrics, custom curated playlists based on your music preferences. What's great about Plex, they put the smarts in. So you got a media folder, you just drop TV shows in there. Plex automatically understands, these are different episodes in the same season. They'll put them, it organizes them for you. It can handle every format, so you don't have to worry, is this going to work with Plex? Of course it will. And you get a great cinema-like experience when you're watching your personal movies. Like trailers, behind-the-scene features, never-before-seen footage. Multiple users, no problem. You can have multiple managed accounts. Make switching users easy with Plex Home. They even have parental controls. So you can make Plex safe for the little ones, too. Have all the kids' movies in one section. Keep mom and dad's movies in another section. With Plex Pass, you get Plex Pass perks, exclusive access to promos and discounts on partner products, and you get to use the newest features before anyone else. I'm a member. I'm a lifetime Plex Pass user. I love Plex. You will too. If you're into media, if you want to cut the cable cord, if you want to save, if you just want a better way to watch your stuff or listen to your stuff, you want Plex. And you should try the Plex Pass. We've got a 30-day free trial of Plex Pass right now. All the premium features for free for a month. If you go to plex.tv/twit and use the code TWIT to start your free trial, that'll let them know you heard it on the Tech Guy Show too, which I personally thank you for. If you haven't tried Plex, you will be thanking me. Plex.tv/twit. Use the code TWIT to start your free trial of Plex Pass today. Plex, you've heard me for years, I'm sure. I've recommended Plex on the radio show to everybody who asks. Well, I thank them for sponsoring the show now. Plex.tv/twit, and the offer code is TWIT. Mike, I know you're a TiVo guy, but you love your Plex, don't you? Plex is awesome. There's nothing like it in the whole wide world. Leo Laporte, the tech guy, 8888. Ask Leo. Let's see. Line 1, David in New Mexico is next. Hi, David.
Hey, Leo. Pleasure. First time I've contacted you, called you, but I first encountered you, watched you back in 2000 on
Tech TV. Tech TV, right?
Yeah. Yep. Direct TV, and I had the web TV, didn't even have a computer yet.
Oh, man. I think there are some who think I'm still skating on my reputation from years at Tech TV, and I wouldn't disagree with them, to be honest with you. Those are good. Those are good times. And really, all I've done is just take it to the radio, right? Same thing.
Yeah, same thing. I wouldn't say you're skating though, because here's a compliment for you. I listen to a lot of radio to get information, and there's a lot of programs that I listen to for the information, but I can't really stand the presentation.
Oh.
And you have the best presentation, delivery, bedside manner in not just all of radio, but in all of broadcasting, for my taste and in my experience. So
I hope the boss is listening. That's all I can say. Thank you. That's very kind of you. I really appreciate it.
Yeah, anytime. Well, you are the boss, aren't you?
Well, I'm the boss of my domain, the podcast network at twit.tv, but the radio show is owned by the Premier Radio Network. It's iHeart. So I do have a boss. I have 200 plus bosses. Every program director who carries this show is my boss. And I love you all, each and every one of you, in your own special way. I just want you to know. Actually, I'm very grateful because when I've been doing computer talk radio since the early 90s. And I honestly think in many cases these stations, they feel like it's foreign language programming. Like, I don't know what the hell he's talking about. But you know what? Technology's happening, right? So we better do something, help people understand it. And so I'm very grateful to each of them for carrying this. It's not an easy thing to do. They have to pay for the show, and I appreciate it. So I have a lot of bosses, but they're all very smart people.
Don't forget the big boss.
And the big boss, can't forget him or her.
Your wife. The wife.
Oh, her. Oh, that boss. Yes. Yeah, she is my boss. She runs the podcast business, Twit, and is very, very good at it. If it weren't for her, I'd be sitting in a closet still. Well, that didn't come out right. What can I do for you before you get me in more trouble, David?
Yeah, really. Well, I'm good at many things, but the most pressing issue. Oh, first of all, back to your previous recording. I looked up some two-way recording law permissions of state to state. And
oh, yeah.
The statutes, people look it up for yourself, but they seem to differentiate in some cases in some states between what would be security system recording versus actually activating a recorder that you're carrying or placing a recorder to record a specific, because security cameras and security recording is so everywhere that it would be hard to make that the same category as, for instance, wearing a wire to specifically record.
Excellent point. Yeah, excellent point. Yeah, because you are recording. I mean, there's hardly anywhere you can go these days that you're not on camera.
Right, and in this day and age, I don't even know that if you have a security camera recording that you specifically are required to put up signage saying you're being recorded, because obviously with all the cameras that we have recording, that's not being adhered to, and you don't really hear people being prosecuted for having a security system. Here's the difference. If you're recording outside, that's one thing. You're recording in public. But if you're a place of business and you're recording, whether it's legally required or not, and I think you'd have to check your local jurisdictions because I'm sure it's different everywhere. You have a kind of a moral obligation to say, by the way, you're being recorded at all times here. So we have big signs up that say that. Of course, we're a video and TV and radio studio, so there may be the expectation. Well, I see microphones and cameras everywhere. I guess I am being recorded, but we still decide to err on the side of caution and tell people that. Yeah, good idea in the case of a business.
Yeah.
What I called for, many different things, but in the situation problem I need to solve now is I live off the grid in a low dollar kind of way, not a high dollar way. And I also like to go backpacking and stuff like that, where you're out of cell service and could make use of the satellite-based emergency beacons you were discussing earlier.
Right.
And I need to buy I've been using Motorola Droid Z products lately, and I'm going to replace it with that probably, unless you got a better idea.
I like those a lot, but go ahead.
And I have a problem. I don't like to use my laptop. One, because if you're out doing recreational stuff, it's extra weight and it's extra power that you're burning. And a small backpackable solar panel will keep your phone charged easily, but will not necessarily easily keep up with a laptop. So I need a solution. Oh, I've also formatted the micro SD card to the phone to expand the memory in the phone.
Right.
Which I then believe, I've never tested this, but you are then ruining that SD card to be used in any other device?
No.
If you reformat it? Or
No. In fact, that card is readable usually on other devices. Most of the time they use a file system from Microsoft called exFAT. EXFAT, and that is readable on most other operating systems. And really, there's a good reason for that. You may want to copy stuff onto that card and then put it in the phone.
Exactly, and I've never tested that, but in reading the disclaimers on the products, the phone or the card, or the phone, I guess it says that if you format it to be part of the phone's memory as opposed to a detachable memory, it then is unusable
right.
in another device. And
so this is an older, Google's given up on this, but for a while Android did something called adopted storage. Here's the problem, and all operating systems have this problem. If you assume that a device is part of your system and it's removed, your system can be an unusable, irreparable. And so removable storage is problematic for operating systems. You want to use it, but you can't assume it's always going to be there. And from Windows to Windows Phone to Android, every system has problems potentially with storing its system data on a removable device. Android for a while did a thing called adopted storage, which was a way of making that storage card usable for system files. So that's where you're going to get in trouble. If it's not just being used as simple file storage, you know, an external drive, your D drive where you're putting data. When in Android 6, they added this ability to make it act like internal storage. It's adopted, it's formatted, and encrypted. And at that point, yes, it will only work with that Android device.
Okay.
Most of the time, I think in more modern, remember this was Android 6. I think they've started to abandon this by Android 9. Let's see, Android 9, because it was a terrible idea. It meant the SD card could be used as internal storage, so you could put apps on it. There was more you could do with it, but it meant exactly as you say. And it may be that that Motorola phone does this. It's using adoptable storage. If that's the case, then you're exactly right. That card now is not usable anywhere else.
Right, and that may be the case. This phone is old enough that may be the case, and now the replacement phone that I'm about to buy may be the new situation.
Well, there should be in the settings a choice between adoptable and portable when you format that. Yeah, so always choose, if you want to do what you want to do, which is take the card out and have that be your storage for other devices, use portable, not adoptable.
Exactly. And I've done it both ways, and most recently
all right. So I wasn't giving you anything you didn't already know. Hang on for a second, 'cause I have to take a break, but we'll come back. We'll talk some more in just a second. Leo Laporte, the tech guy. So I'm sorry, I didn't mean to repeat something you already knew.
Oh, no, that's okay.
So what's the question?
The question is two-part. One, we basically discussed, and that is the situation with the SD card, whether it's now dedicated to this device only, which is probably the case. And I've never taken it out to see if it works in another device.
Once it's adoptable, it's not only is will it not be usable, it might even break your phone.
If you try to take it out.
Well, if you try to take it out, your phone may not boot normally.
Oh, wait, I can answer that question. I've done this twice. I've dedicated the card to the device 2 times in a row. I did remove a previous card without trying it in a new device, but inserted a new card and did the same thing, and the phone continued to work as normal.
Yeah.
So,
but it can't be guaranteed, because depending on how the phone has used that. So
okay. You might have got away with it one time.
Yeah, you might have gotten away with it. But once it's adopted, the phone says that's internal. I could put something important there, like my operating system.
Got it. Okay. And the second part of the question was, I'm assuming that a portable storage device, for instance, like SanDisk, they got these little, I don't remember what they call them, but they're like a terabyte or half a terabyte or whatever size you buy, and you can plug it in via USB port into your laptop. But can that same device be used on an Android phone?
Yes, if
it can.
If the Android phone supports something called USB on the go, OTG.
And how does I've never seen that on the specifications on any of the Android phones.
I know all the Samsungs do. I would guess a lot of Androids do. It allows it basically means the phone has the drivers to see that as an external drive and access it.
Okay, and it's called on the go.
OTG, on the go. And let me see if there's a easy way to see. You know, if you have this. Yeah. You know what? There's a program that you can download called USB OTG Checker.
Okay.
And it will, I'm looking at a CNET article. I've never tried it, but supposedly it will tell you. Of course, you can always just plug in external storage and see what happens.
Right, which I haven't done yet because I've gone from micro USB now to the USB-C.
Right.
And I yet have not even purchased the cable to connect anything else.
I do everything USB-C, of course, now, because everything is USB-C. I even to the point now where my encryption key, my YubiKey, is a USB-C device. And my experience has been on most Android phones, that just plugs in. The phone says, oh, I see you've plugged in. In this case, it shows up as a keyboard, and it works fine. So I'm going to guess that almost all phones now support USBs on the go. You may need an on-the-go cable. You may need a special cable. You used to in the old days. I don't know. I think with Type-C you don't.
Okay.
So I guess the thing to do is to get a USB-C device, plug it in, see what happens.
Right. Yeah. I'm just gonna have to. I could have done a lot of this already, but I just haven't gotten around to. Just gonna have to play.
No, it's a good conversation because it's kind of changing territory.
And I didn't want to buy the SanDisk 1 terabyte thing and then find out it only works on the laptop and not on the phone when I needed it for the phone.
I should, I have mine at home. Otherwise, I would plug it in right now and see and tell you. I know it does on the Samsungs because all the Samsungs support OTG. I'm not sure on the Motorola's. You're getting a new phone. That's one of the things to look at in the specs before you buy it.
Got it.
I always go to GSM Arena. That's a very good place to see the full specs for a device. GSMarena.com.
Okay.
All right. I got to run. Yeah. Leo Laporte, the tech guy. 8888 Ask. Leo, back to the phones we go. We got a line open for you right now if you want to get through. 8888 Ask Leo. Owen in Chicago, Illinois. Hello, Owen.
Hey.
Hey.
I got a quick question, and also I'm a avid photographer that doesn't shoot that much anymore. I'm kind of afraid to bring my camera in Chicago.
Oh, that's too bad. You feel like it'd be stolen? You'd be mugged?
Exactly. I have a Canon 1DX, all L lenses. And
yeah, that looks super pro.
It's not worth it anymore.
Yeah, somebody in the chat room is saying, take all that Canon beige paint and scrape it off. It's kind of an announcement, isn't it? It's a giveaway. You know what I do is I will use black electrician's tape to tape over logos. I never use the straps that come with the camera because they're a big announcement what kind of camera it is. I always get kind of and my latest strategy is to get like the kind of leather camera case my dad, the half case my dad used to carry, and carry my camera around my neck, not my shoulder, because the shoulder's a giveaway. You're a pro. Carry it around your neck in a half case, and people think, oh, tourist, probably a crappy camera. That's my new strategy. I know what you mean. It's scary. I was walking around. I'll never forget this. I was in Buenos Aires, and it was midnight, and I was getting great night shots of Buenos Aires and people coming out of cafes. It was fantastic. Somebody taps me on the shoulder and says, Senor, you should not be out here with your Canon 5D Mark II. You're going to get mugged. Go home immediately. I thought, oh, that's a shame. So I'm sorry to hear that. That's really too bad.
And that's what I love. I love night photography, too.
Yeah. Oh, it's great. Street photography is my favorite. But, you kind of got to be a little surreptitious nowadays.
I put my Flickr in your chat if you want to see.
Oh, good. I see it right there. That's Gray 123. All right.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Anyway, the reason I was calling, I got a kind of an advanced question. I have a 6th generation Intel i7 processor, 32 gigs of RAM, in the computer and a GTX 970 video card, which I'm upgrading to RTX 2070 Super.
Ah.
But what I'm curious about is I have 4 monitors running, and 2 of the monitors are constantly watching security cameras.
Okay.
So would it be better for me to keep the 970 in there to run the security cameras off of, and then use the 2070 to run my main monitor, my main 2 monitors that I work off of?
So the security cameras come in through a special app, or is it a web page?
No, well, one of them's a web page, the other one's an app.
Some web browsers are GPU enabled, which means they are using the graphics card. But I would bet in a lot of cases, the graphics card does not get involved when you're displaying something like that.
Okay.
So, what is your concern? You're worried about wearing the card out?
Well, yeah. I mean, is it going to hurt my performance? Having everything running off the 2070.
No. That card has so much bandwidth.
Yeah.
Are you saying that on one monitor you're going to be playing Gears of War or something, and on the other monitor your security camera's going?
Well, I have 4 monitors. 2 of the monitors run security cameras. One's in software. One's in a web page.
I don't think it matters because it's just, if the monitor's on, the card's working. If it's showing something, whether it's showing, and it's how often is a security cam? Is it a video stream?
It's a live feed. They're all live feed. So we're talking 6 cameras on one, 4 cameras on another.
My guess is most of the time that video is not going through the GPU. It's just being blasted onto the screen directly. And so it's probably, it may be using a little CPU, but it's probably not doing much at all. I don't think it should affect. Are you concerned about your frame rates?
Well, yeah, I was wondering if I should just run the 970 and the 2070 in the same system.
I don't know how you would tell I don't even know how you'd do that. I don't know how you'd tell the system, oh, these 2 monitors, well, I guess they'd be plugged into the 970, huh?
Right, correct. Yeah, the 2 security monitors that have plugged into the 970, and the other 2 monitors that wouldn't have.
What's the processor on that machine?
It's i7 Gen 6.
Yeah. I think you have enough horsepower on that machine, it's not going to make any difference.
Okay.
Yeah, that 2070 is a beast. It's got.
Yeah, I just got it. So.
Yeah, it's got a giant pipeline.
It was heavy.
Yeah.
I couldn't believe the weight on it.
That part of that is the 18 fans on the darn thing. These things. Right. This is a beautiful video card, but I think it has so much throughput. I can't imagine it would have. Now, if you're running 4 copies of a game on it, maybe. But that video stream is not particularly demanding. It's not rendering it. Remember, it's not drawing it. It's just blasting bits onto the screen. It's not doing any work.
Gotcha.
Yeah. Now, and the other issue, and I've never had a situation where I'd have 2 video cards. I feel like you have to pick one, right? 2 video cards in the same machine. Would both of those cards work?
Don't you remember back in the day to have dual monitors for? You had to run 2 cards.
Yeah, but I don't know. It sounds like I don't know how you would tell the operating system. I think just use a 2070. If you really see a degradation, maybe. I mean, you do have that 970 lying around. It's a nice little video card. But
yeah, I mean, they worked great for 5 years.
Yeah, but you had to give yourself something nice. By the way, I love your images. I'm looking at your pictures. Great stuff. Get back out on that street.
I love shooting live music. It like totally gets rid of like all the rules for photography. They're on stage, they're jumping around, the lighting is changing constantly. It's so much fun.
It's hard though, right? I think a lot of people think concerts are very well lit, very bright. They're not, in fact.
No, and again, the lights are constantly changing,
and the color balance is constantly changing. Yeah. Sometimes it's blue, sometimes it's yellow. I like your factory pictures too. This is great stuff.
And then, what was good for that was the Expo disc. I don't know if you remember those for white balancing.
Oh, clever. So you put that in the image?
I would white balance off like a red or a blue.
Yeah.
And then I would try to shoot during those colors.
Nice.
But the beautiful thing about shooting those is I had the 85L 1.2. So shooting in the dark was a breeze.
Oh, I have that lens. I wish I had a reason to have it. It's such a great lens.
Oh, it weighs a ton, too.
It's a beautiful Canon lens. It's 85 millimeter, perfect for portraiture, and it's so big. F1.2, that is so f.2. What is it? 1.2. So it's so fast. You can open up wide, and you could take a picture in a dark factory.
Oh, if you look, a lot of those photos I did urbanexing and the abandoned places, those are almost pitch dark.
Yeah. Just gorgeous stuff. Look at that. And you like your HDR, I can tell, but that's okay. I like HDR too.
You know what? I didn't like it at first, and then I started doing it, and it kind of crept up on me.
It can make these pop, right? It can really add to the magic of the picture. High dynamic range we're talking about. What program do you use to do HDR photos?
What was that one that Ratcliffe used?
Trey Ratcliffe originally used Photomatics, and now he's a consultant on Aurora, which I really like from Skylum. I use Aurora all the time now. Beautiful, beautiful images. Hey, very nice. Maybe we'll get you back out, Owen. Get you out there in the streets.
I want to.
Yeah. I would just use a 2070 and not worry about it. You have so much horsepower.
Well, it's a new car to me, so I guess I'll try them.
Yeah, just see.
I guess it's better than passing the power supply running both those cards.
Yeah, exactly. Can you imagine? It is using dual graphics card is complicated. Remember the old days we'd use SLI? NVIDIA had that SLI, and AMD had the Crossfire. The idea is you have multiple cards.
Right.
Yeah, but if you had two cards that didn't know about each other, I don't know what would happen. I think you'd be crossing the streams. The whole world could implode.
True.
Get out there, Owen. Take more pictures. You're a great photographer. Leo Laporte, the tech guy. Thank you, Big Pee-wee, our musical director and short timer. Big Pee-wee has done such a good job on the Tech Guy show that the powers that be have promoted him to full time, which means he won't be working weekends anymore. But Laura will be starting soon, right? You got her all trained up, Big Pee-wee? Got her ready to go?
Ready to go.
I also have to thank Nicole DJ. She's been here answering the phones for us while Kim Schaffer is vacationing. She'll be back. Kim will be back next week. Thank you, Nicole. Great job. I'm lucky. I surround myself with wonderful people. Makes my job a lot easier. And you're part of that crew, by the way. Thank you so much for listening and calling and being a part of our show. Every weekend. I'll be back next weekend. We're getting ready for that iPhone launch a week from Tuesday. That'll be part of it. I hope you have a great Labor Day weekend, too. I hope you have something fun planned. Let's go back to the phones. Don in Montana. Hello, Don.
Hello, Leo. Thanks for taking the call.
Always a pleasure.
Why is it on Windows 10 you have to download MP4 files that somebody sends you in a Gmail? In Android, on my phone, I can just click them and they'll open.
You just play it. But on Windows 10, what program are you using to get the email on Windows 10? Is it in your browser?
That's where it goes to. Chrome, it does the same thing on my Android phone.
Huh. So it's Chrome on Windows 10. You go to Gmail and Chrome, and there's an attached movie, an MP4.
Yeah.
Instead of embedding it into the window of the mail, so you just press play like you would on YouTube or something, you have to download it first and then play it.
Right, and you got to file it away and then click on it and open it.
Yeah. I don't know why it behaves differently, except, well, there's a couple of possibilities. It may be a setting. The problem these days is that email often contains stuff that isn't nice. And I don't mean dirty pictures. I mean is not nice. For instance, there's a very popular thing to do. A lot of mailing lists do it. A lot of advertising does it. They put a 1-by-1 pixel, and it's invisible to you, image in the email. And if email loads images, it'll ping their server and say, hey, just read the email. And it can even tell them more. It can ping the server and say, he's located in, Montana. He's in Bozeman. He's reading your email. He's the same guy as read your email another time. So it's a privacy invasion. So a lot of email clients, Gmail included, will not load images, and that includes movies, unless you tell it to. You may even see when you load a email that has a lot of images, you may see a button that says load images, always load images, don't load images.
Yeah.
So that would be number one, is that to protect you, I would guess on the desktop it's more of an issue than it is on mobile, where mobile operating systems tend to be a lot safer. They're isolated and stuff. To protect you, it's just not loading it. If you wanted to load, you could probably change that setting to load images, but it could be a privacy imposition. It wouldn't necessarily be dangerous. Could be, but probably not.
And I haven't found any place to change settings. I've looked and I've used different codexes to make sure.
Do you see images like still pictures? Are you seeing those in your email?
Sure. No problems there.
Okay. So you are loading images. It's probably because the MP4 is treated as an attachment on your desktop as opposed to an inline movie. Android will still download it before it plays it, but it just does it behind the scenes. I don't know exactly why it's handled differently on a desktop than it is on Android. If you've looked to see if there's a switch you can change, and you haven't found one,
no,
then I guess it's not, because it's an attachment. I hate it. I tell people don't use attachments because that's where you really can get risks. It might say mymovie.mp4.exe, and you might not see the exe. And if you download and open it, it might actually not be a movie, but an executable malware. So attachments are inherently dangerous. A lot of email packages try to protect you from that. I'm not sure exactly what's going on in Chrome and Gmail, except I would guess it's just because, we just don't want to download that large file unless you absolutely say you want to see it. If it had to autoplay it was a large file, it might take a long time before the screen rendered. So I'm not sure why Android does it. Actually, it seems like Android should act more like Windows rather than vice versa. It's not a safe thing to just autoplay movies or autoplay files that are in emails. There's too much malicious stuff in emails. So if you don't see a setting, maybe there isn't a setting. Maybe that's just their way of saying, don't do it. You shouldn't do it. You may be stuck right-clicking and saving, or clicking it and downloading it and playing it. I think that's, the world is kind of a little afraid these days of autoplay. Dan in Baton Rouge, Louisiana. Hello, Dan. Welcome to the show. What can I do for you today? Dan! Oh, Dan! Oh, did we lose Dan? I'll put him on hold just in case and go to Martin in Hayward, Wisconsin. Hello, Martin.
Hello, Leo. Thanks for taking the call. Always enjoy your shows. Going back to the screensaver days. My first computer was an HP 50 at 150.
Nice. That's a calculator more than a computer, isn't it? Yes.
Well, it actually had a quasi-touch screen that worked because it had sensors in the bezel that would read the coordinates of where you were touching the screen.
That's how it could see where your fingers were. It actually was like little cameras.
Yeah.
Oh, man.
So I have two home networks that are set up at different locations, and I'm trying to set up a backup strategy. Each network has a personal cloud NAS, or a Seagate personal cloud NAS, and each of those NASs have a USB 3 drive attached to it.
Yeah.
I have two questions. One, if, unfortunately, I would be subject to a ransomware attack, would that encryption propagate through both networks?
So to protect yourself from ransomware, the idea of ransomware, of course, is you get some malware on your system, you run it by accident. Maybe it's an MP4, an exe posing as an MP4. So you run it by accident. Some malware just looks at your local hard drive and says, I'm done. But nowadays, a lot of malware is wormable, tries to go out on the network. So anything attached to your computer, like on a USB port, probably going to be infected. But if you also have hot backup running, you're mounted right now to a network drive, even if it's in a different building, much current malware is wormable. By the way, you could thank the NSA, the National Security Agency, for that. They created, in an attempt to hack bad guys, to spy on people, they created an exploit we call Eternal Blue that allowed bad guys or the NSA to take advantage of flaws in Microsoft's networking and spread through the network. Well, a lot of ransomware now uses Eternal Blue to spread through the network. The big ransomwares that you hear about all the time, that's exactly Petya and stuff like that. That's how they spread. So the answer to that question is, if it's hot storage, if it's online, if it's current and being kept up to date, it's vulnerable. It's treated as vulnerable. The only good backup for ransomware is a disconnected backup.
Okay, that's what I was thinking. So it would even propagate to OneDrive?
Yeah, anything hot. If it's now OneDrive, it'd have to be OneDrive aware, so you're probably safe on that.
Okay.
It's really the mounted disk. Any disk that's mounted, in other words, looks like a local disk, that's the problem. I hear that music, which means, unfortunately, it's time to say goodnight. I hope you had a great day today, and I hope you enjoy tomorrow and take some Labor Day time to yourself and enjoy your weekend, long weekend. I hope you'll come back next weekend, because I enjoy doing this, and I don't care if it's a holiday weekend. I'll be here. Leo Laporte, the tech guy. Don't forget, everything that we talk about is on the website, and it's always available to you, holiday or not, techguylabs.com. I'll see you next time. Have a great Geek Week. Well, that's it for the Tech Guy Show for today. Thank you so much for being here. And don't forget, TWIT, T-W-I-T. It stands for This Week in Tech, and you'll find it at twit.tv, including the podcasts for this show. We talk about Windows on Windows Weekly, Macintosh on Mac Break Weekly, iPads, iPhones, Apple Watches on iOS Today, security on Security Now. I mean, I can go on and on and on. And, of course, the big show every Sunday afternoon, This Week in Tech. You'll find it all at twit.tv. And I'll be back next week with another great Tech Guys show. Thanks for joining me. We'll see you next time.